If you picked up supplies from me, then I included this packet of papers. We're gonna be working on Portraits 101. We're doing a self-portrait. If you don't have this packet, you can just use paper to do a self-portrait. I'm just using this to use some instructions. The first instruction is something we would all do together in class. It should be measuring, using calipers to measure our head. We're gonna skip that so that we're not all touching calipers. So what I did instead was I just gave you guys this basic egg shape. So if you don't have this packet and you're working at home on a piece of paper, just draw an upside down egg that fills most of the paper, okay? Step 1 is getting the face shape. Step 2, you guys are gonna divide this egg shape face in half horizontally and vertically. You don't need to use a ruler. You can kind of just eyeball it here. So if you wanna put a dot, the top of the head, let me zoom in a bit, and then a dot all the way in the bottom, just divide your face in half vertically. And make these lines, these sketch lines, make them really light so you can erase them. And then we're gonna divide the face in half horizontally. So you can kind of move that line if it's not where you want it to be. Now we're gonna divide this face shape into 2 circles. The top circle is going to be bigger, the bottom circle is gonna be a little smaller. So if you notice, the shape that I gave you kind of has these 2 natural curves, right? So I want you guys to kind of follow this curve to try to create a symmetrical circle. And I'm using really light sketching lines. Now you're gonna do the same thing with the top. So this way, this is just the practice self-portrait. We're just talking about proportions here. When we do our larger self-portrait, you're gonna be using a big circle and a small circle to help create that face shape. Okay, so step 3 is divide face into 2 circles. Now, if you look back at these visuals that I gave you, there's this really disturbing picture where it's using eyes to proportion out the entire face. So the width that you create your eye is going to determine the proportions for everything else. The width of one eye is obviously the same as the other eye, but it's also the same as the width in between those 2 eyes, and it's the same as between the left eye and the side of the face, and the right eye and the side of the face. It's gonna be an eye length down to get to your nose, and the width of your nose, and this is typical proportions, not everybody's proportions, okay? These are like basic guidelines to proportions. But the width of a nose sometimes aligns with the width in between the 2 eyes, which is an eye, okay? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start using that eye proportion to kind of divide up the proportions in our face. Okay, so we're gonna divide up our face into 5 almost even divisions. So I'll show you how. The easiest way to do this is we're gonna use a ruler and we're gonna use the center line and put the center line at 1/2 inch. Let me zoom in here. Uh-oh. Ow. That was my hand. All right. There we go. So I have this lined up. I have that center line at 1/2 inch. So I'm gonna make a mark at the beginning of 1 inch and 1 inch. So I just measured 1 inch with 1/2 inch on either side, right? Now I'm gonna go back. So now I have my ruler lined up where that center line down the face is at 1.5 inches. I'm gonna mark the beginning of the ruler, and I'm gonna mark it 3 inches. Now I wanna make these straight lines, and I wanna make these straight lines parallel with that center line. Let me zoom out a bit, a little bit more. Put this thing back on top. Okay. All right, so I'm using those guidelines, and I'm using the center line to keep my ruler parallel, and I'm just doing some light sketch lines. Same thing with that first mark I made. Oh, I need to see my center line to keep this parallel. Ooh. Remember, when you're working on just aligning things on your sketch, you want to be working really light so we could erase. Okay, now if you look, this part and this part is a little smaller, and then we have a little wider space in those 3 inches, but that's okay. All right, so think about what we just did for step 4 is dividing your face into these 5-inch kind of even stripes. And then what I'm telling you on this previous page, you're lightly dividing the face vertically 5 times. Your eyes are gonna go in section 2 and 4 on that horizontal line that we made in the middle. A lot of people think that our eyes are way up at the top of the head. That's where most kids think that their eyes go, right? Because then they have their hair on the top of the head, and so this is the forehead. But we've really got to put our eyes in the center of the face. Okay, your eyes are going to go about here-ish. And the reason is because most of us are going to have hair that's actually on the front of our forehead that goes up to the top of our scalp. All right, so it's going to look more human-like and less cartoon if we actually put our eyes in the center of our face. Focus. There it goes. All right, so what that means is the 2nd and the 4th column that we made, or stripe, on that horizontal line, this is where your eye shape is going to go. And it's gonna be kind of, you know, football or Stewie head-esque. And then that same shape should fit right in between. All right, so step 5 now is drawing your eyes. I talked about how to place your eyes. Again, if you have this handout that I gave you, on the other side of this are some step-by-step instructions on drawing eyes. Now, I know these are really girly looking, feminine looking eyes, but I'm gonna point out some details as I'm working on drawing my eye. Some tools that I use when I draw my eye is going to be a mirror and then obviously a pencil with an eraser. And when you're drawing your eye, I really want you to look at your eye and draw what you're seeing, not what you think an eye looks like. I will tell you that most students, when they just draw their eye without looking, they draw their eye looking really freaked out, right? They think that their iris, you know, that they can see the whole circle, and maybe they can see the whole pupil. But typically, if you're not, you know, freaked out and seeing a ghost, and you're looking in a mirror, you do not see the entire iris. So I want you to start by first looking at the angles of the shape of your eye. Try to angle your eye the way it actually looks. And this gives you some advice too on how to angle your eye. See step number 4, kind of has a slope. Not all of them, every eye is gonna be different. These are like generic eyes, okay? But what I want you to do is I want you to look at the colored part of your eye. So I have brown eyes. So I'm gonna sit and look in a mirror. So when I'm looking at the iris of my eyelid cuts off the top. And then the brown iris just kind of touches the bottom lid, comes back up. So another way to think about this is looking at the white space of your eye. What is that shape that you see? Yeah. So the shape of the white space of my eye really looks like that over here. What does it look like on this side? Make that line a little thinner. Kind of slopes down more here. And again, this one's gonna be practice for our bigger self-portrait. We're gonna be doing this again. All right, and then your eyeball kind of curves here and you've got all that, your tear duct is that corner part that you're seeing. All right, next, you know, we all have a pupil inside of our iris. My eyes are so dark brown, it's always really hard to see the pupil. But if you think of this as a whole circle and you divide that in half, your pupil is centered. But I'm gonna cut off that half. So overall, I don't want to see the whole pupil unless you're seeing a ghost, okay? If our eye is relaxed and normal, our eyelid is going to cut into that iris. The colored part of your eye is the iris, I believe. All right, eyelashes. Do not draw like sun rays coming off of your eye for eyelashes, all right? We don't want it to look like a spider landed and died on our eye. So I'm not wearing any mascara, so my eyelashes are not curving up. So what you want to do is you want to make, and even guys have eyelashes, okay? Don't think you don't have lashes. So you want to make that lash line really thick, opposite of your tear duct. And then they're kind of leaning out on the left. So they lean out the opposite direction of your tear duct. So it's up to you how long you want to make your lashes, but I'm really trying to look. I don't want to make myself look, you know, fake or how I don't look here. I'm not photoshopping myself here. Okay, and then the lower lid, kind of have two lines for that lower eyelid, and then your eyelashes, what's happening there? Kind of come out of the middle. I'm drawing kind of light. Can you see what I'm drawing? Yeah. All right. My favorite part about the eye is drawing the upper eyelid line because it's so different for everybody. So look above your lash line. You're going to have a lid line. So look at the distance between that eyelid line and your lash line. It's kind of closer here. So I'm really looking at the distance between my eyelid line and my lash line to get this to look like me, because everybody's is so different. It's a really dark line. I have a dark line here. I got lots of darks under my eyes, but we're not gonna be focusing on shading now. Today is just talking about how to draw and doing the proportions, and then you're gonna be doing this on your own on the larger one. All right, I am lucky and I have glasses. So when I sketch my glasses, one thing I could do is I can actually put my glasses over this and I can see, you know, how do my glasses sit on my face? Where is the top of my glasses, let me look again, in relation to my eyelid line? And it's like right above. My glasses sit about right there. So one thing I can do is just full on trace this guy. Oh, come on, glasses, operate, work with me. Another thing I can do if I wanted to wear my glasses and draw this is I can really look at the distance between my eyelid line and where my glasses are, and then just sketch what I'm seeing. But since I traced it, oh man, I'm wearing my hair down today. I don't know if I want to draw that. Okay. Now, I usually get one eye and one side that I really like, and then the problem is I have to do the other side just the same, and that is really hard. So I want you now to work on getting both eyes where you have it drawn like it actually looks and not like what you think an eye is going to look like. Step 6 is your nose, which is a lot harder than what it sounds. I always struggle with the nose. So we actually already placed where the nose is going to go. It's going to go on the bottom of that top circle that you made, right in that middle column is exactly where the nose should go. Let me check proportions. So the eye we know we drew is 1 inch. So it should be about 1 inch from this eye. That's close enough. All right, so let me see if I have a visual. So if you flip through the packet that I gave you, I forgot the eyebrows. We'll go back to the eyebrows. But I have it right here. The edges of your nose fall under the inside corners of your eyes, right? So the inside corners of your eyes, if you go down, it's where the edge of your nose is. And then this top circle is the bottom of the nose. And then I kind of have some how to draw a nose page. So the parts of your nose, you have the bridge of your nose, which we're gonna draw a line, but when we shade this, we're gonna get rid of that line by shading it out. You have the ball of the nose, that's the part that sticks out the farthest, and then you have these two circles, which are gonna be the nostrils. And then you have the mouth. Okay, one way you can figure out where your top of your mouth starts, remember I had this bottom circle here, right? If I divide that circle in half, so I'm on that center line, it is 3.5 inches is what I have that circle. So 3.5 divided in half is 1 3/4. So that's one way to help kind of figure out where the top of your mouth is gonna be. You can also look in a mirror, and actually if you place a finger, I don't know if you can see me, but if you place a finger between your nose, the bottom of your nose, and the top of your mouth, that's about the distance between the two. So I could put my finger underneath my nose and mark below, and that will be the top of my mouth, okay? Now, really look at your mouth. So, not for everybody, but for me at least, my top lip is way thinner than my bottom lip. I also have to stop talking when I'm drawing my mouth. Most of us have a little kind of curve that is the center of that top lip. It sometimes curves in. So think of doing like an M, right? Here's an M shape. Oh my gosh, that one eye is freaking me out. All right, so my top lip is going to be thinner. Now we all know everybody's nose is different. So I'm gonna be drawing you guys kind of a basic guide to how to draw a nose. And you guys are going to, you can start with that and then you can make it more of your own nose. All right, so I have a larger circle in the middle and then two smaller circles to either side, right? So it looks like 3 circles to start. Let me get rid of that line that I had there. Okay, so I have my 3 circles. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make my nostrils on the bottom circle and then come into those side circles. So I just drew this line coming into the side circles, following along that bottom circle. Then I can erase parts of the nose. Or definitely erase the top of it. So I kind of just have these basic lines right here. So now what I'm gonna do after I have this basic idea of a nose is I'm going to look in a mirror and try to make it look like my nose. So I have to look straight on. So my nostrils kind of go up, not horizontal the way I drew them. Really dark right there. Let's see if I can zoom in. Whoop. Move this down. So again, I'm trying to make this basic nose look more like my nose. It's more angled than it is round, but yeah, it's pretty right. And then the distance between my nostril here, or the side of my nose, and my glasses looks really accurate. That's good. I do have a shadow on the bridge of my nose from my glasses. That's fun. I can also erase some of these guidelines. I don't need the guidelines in there anymore. So I'm trying to draw that dark circle, that shape of the nostril. Also, this line is closer to my nostril. So really slight changes and slight angles, it's what's gonna make this look more like you and less like a generic person, okay? Sorry, I started shading. Don't shade. Okay. So again, I'm not drawing the bridge lines going up. Don't draw, you don't need to draw the bridge lines. We're gonna shade this when we do our bigger drawing, okay? Don't need the bridge lines.